I'm sorry I'm late, you two. Gosh, what do you think I've been doing? I have a hat, I have an old t-shirt, and I have a bottle. Where do you think I've been? Yeah, you've guessed it. I'm not even going to ask you to pause the video because I know that you guys are really good at this science topic. And I've been following some of your brilliant instructions. Now, I'm glad that my instructions that I gave to you were to just seed some of your brilliant plants, because I've seen some of the instructions you've given to Mr. Della, and I can't wait to see some of his creations that he's going to have to eat. I want to see that video. I bet you guys do too. Right, so on with today. It is Tuesday, the 19th of May 2020. It's nearly half term and the weather is looking brilliant out there. Okay, so today we are going to look at some of your instructions a little bit later, but we're going to do something slightly different, but slightly the same as well. We're still looking at our gardening topic, but we are going to be thinking about how we can perform a little test. Let's little bobble Mrs. Lang's head and let's get on with it, shall we? Right, okay. So our learning intention today is to perform simple tests and use our observation skills. Remember observation, using our eyes to suggest answers to questions. So our success criteria, if you're not feeling very confident, just make sure you've got an adult supporter there with you, and they can support you to tell if the plants have germinated or not. We're going to come to that piece of vocabulary in a little bit. If you're feeling a little bit more confident, you're going to describe how the seeds grow and use the scientific language. And if you're feeling super duper confident, like I know most of you are, you're going to help me to predict what you think will happen to the plants. Okay, so Mrs. Lang, what are we going to be testing? Right. So, before we get on with it, what do we need to begin our lesson? We need a book, and we really do need the book this lesson because I'm going to ask you to pause quite a few times and I'm going to ask you to write things down. So we're going to do lots of thinking and a little bit of writing, but I want you to use a ruler as well. So when you're writing your titles, that you underline your work. It looks much neater that way. And you're nearly year 3. I'm going to miss you guys so much. So we've got the pause button there. You're going to have to hit the pause button. Get your pencil out. Let's think about the vocabulary that we're going to use today. So dormant, when it comes to seeds, they're like, oh, a little bit sleepy. And that's what it really means. Dormant just means sleepy. Now you can have seeds for a long time. They just need the right conditions to grow. So we're going to think about waking some seeds up today. So here's a big word, hypothesis. Let me hear you say it. Hypothesis. Or prediction. Prediction. It just means a guess, but it means an intelligent guess, like you little guys out there. Right, germinate simply means to grow. Germinate, to grow. Okay, and seeds. Well, what are seeds? Seeds are the reproductive part of the plant. So it's a little bit like you when you're inside your mummy's tummy. You're not quite grown yet, you're not quite out. So you're just laying there for a little bit until you get to grow. That's not quite the correct analysis for it, but as you get older, you'll have a deeper understanding for it. But just think about them sleeping and just think of them as almost like eggs, just waiting for the right conditions to grow. Okay, we've got this pause button there. Mrs. Lang doesn't often share that with you, but I'm going to ask you to be pausing quite a few times today because I really want you to think. So make sure you've got your book, make sure you've got your pencil and your ruler, and we'll be getting on. So for our first pause and thinking part, I want you to guess or hypothesize what we will need to grow some crest. Crest, I ask you say. Yes, crest, because Mrs. Lang loves to put them in her sandwiches. I love to grow things I can eat. I love pretty things as well, but I do like to eat. So, thinking about crest, we're going to think about what they need to germinate. Remember that word means to grow. So I have got a selection of words down here. Here's your guess. I want you in your books to write a table like that. So you've just got 3 boxes there. That's all you'll need. It's what's your guess? What do you think our crest needs to grow? And then when we return at the end, you're going to see what they actually need to grow. So when we finish this video, hopefully you can fill in that box there. It may be the same as what you think. I know that a lot of you are gardeners out there, so you may have a hint of what you'll need. Okay, so pause. If I pause it now, you pause it. Go write that down and then come back to me and join me for the next slide. Right, so you're back. Brilliant. More writing, I'm afraid. So, because we're going to be thinking about doing a simple test, we are going to write that test up. So in your books, I want you to get your books out and you're going to write the experiment name. So the experiment name is, do crest need soil to grow? What does that mean, Mrs. Lang? Well, remember that we looked at our other guests and we had that prediction, what we think it might need. And when we've looked at the plants that we looked at the plants in the series of this topic, we planted them into the ground. Now, I'm wondering, do they always need to be planted into the ground? So my question or my experiment is to see if cress needs soil to grow. So I predict that they don't need soil. Am I right? I wonder. Well, I've got some children that can help us with that, and then we can have a look. So make sure you've paused the video, write the information down. If you have a look, I've got the information in red. If you underline that, you will know what you have to do for the next slide. Okay, let's go through. Right, okay, growing crest seeds. So we have, as you can see, we have our crest seed packet there. Right, and our equipment, we have cotton wool, an egg box, and we have some water there. Remember in our section where you were going to write your experiment up, you had a section for equipment needed. And this is the equipment that you will need. So you can pause this video and write the information down. Okay. Right, so Mrs. Lang has been ever so lucky. I've had some helpers. So watch this video clip. Right, as you can see, they are using the egg carton as a bit of a tray. And remember, we're thinking about, in our science, we have been looking at properties of materials. Now, usually a cardboard box, if we put too much water in them, they won't really last for very long. But that doesn't matter when we're planting seeds, because we don't really need them for that long. And what's that thing about saving the planet? Can you remember that word? Recyclable. So we're using the cardboard boxes and they're recyclable. Now we have cotton wool in there. So if you want to do this experiment at home, if you have cress seeds, and then if you want to raid mummy's cotton wool balls, make sure you put a cotton wool ball in each of the egg cartons, and then you want to put a little bit of water into them. Okay, so not too much. You don't want it to be overflowing, but you do need the cotton wool ball to be very, very damp. So here's my helpers. They're just putting water in there now. Okay, I don't know if you recognise Miss Bennett's voice. She's another person that likes to help. We have lots of scientists and gardeners at Grange. We're very lucky. Right. Now they're going to put the seeds in. Let's begin the extra video. There we are. Can you see the seeds now? They are tiny. They're little brown seeds, and they're a courtesy of Miss Edwards. So thank you, Miss Edwards, for the seeds, because Mrs. Lang couldn't get hold of anyone. So brilliant to get those seeds. So we can put the seeds in. And what do you know about Crest? Does it look pretty? Or are you like Mrs. Lang? Do you want to eat it as well? Right. So they're not putting many cress seeds into each one. They could probably put a few more in there. When you're at home, you could actually put a few more in there. But they're deciding to share their seeds there. There we are. There's one of our other little helpers putting some more seeds in there. Again, as I said, you could put a little bit more. It's really good to put the seeds at the top of your cotton wool as well. You might see that later. Okay, so far we have watered our cotton wool and now we have put the seeds in. So the next step that you won't see, I'm afraid, let me turn this off now, is the fact that we then put it in near our windowsill so it has some sun, so it has the right temperature. So let's go back to our experiment right up. So remember, our experiment name was, do cress need soil to grow? So we had a prediction, a hypothesis, and our hypothesis was that they didn't need soil to grow. Right, our equipment, we used an egg carton, cress seeds, cotton wool and water. And here's the instructions that we used so that we could grow our seeds. So we put the cotton wool into the egg carton, we poured the water on and then placed the seeds on dampened cotton wool. Let's move on. Pause this if you want to write this down. Okay, so what happened to our seeds? So after a day, we could see, just a day, I think it was 2 days actually, we could see little shoots trying to grow out. Then we can see here they were getting a little bit longer. By day 3, they looked like, they looked like the crest there. Can you see that? Let's try and make that bigger. Can you see they look like the crest you see in the shop now? And then day 4, they got even bigger than that. Oops, let's go forward. What's happening this time? Oh, it stopped there. They want to be on the video even more, look. Right, so there we are. Let's move forward. Sorry, year 2. So, as I said, pause the video, write the experiment up. There we are. And we'll go on to our next slide. So, did our seeds grow? Did they? Well, we looked at the video and we looked at our pictures, and as you can see, they did grow. What did we leave out? We left out the soil. Yes, we did. So we predicted that they would grow without the soil, and they did. So what was that scientific word we used instead of grow? It was germinate. So if we think of our success criteria, did our seeds germinate? Ask your adult if you're unsure. Right, okay, so our facts are, seeds wait to germinate until their needs are met. Remember, oh, our feeling very sleepy. Well, when it has the right conditions, it starts to wake up. Brilliant. So what a seed needs is water, the correct temperature, and a good location. That could include soil, but not always. But just to add a point there, most of us will put plants into soil because they grow even more bigger and stronger. So it is good to meet the right conditions. So during its early stages of growth, the seedling relies upon the food supply stored within its seeds until it's large enough for its own leaves to begin to making food through photosynthesis. Now, I know Holmes class know a little bit about this. Remember, it's a way of the leaves turning green and making lots and lots of food so the plants can grow big and strong. Okay, guys, so I want you to write the experiment out for me. I'm going to be asking, let's go back before that. I'm going to be asking you to write that experiment for me. And then let's go back and think of our original question. So the original question was, what does our plant need to grow? So if you put temperature, give yourself a big tick. Obviously it needs to be the seeds. Give yourself a big tick. If you said water, give yourself a big tick. And also really air, but some of them don't need air. Remember, seeds are all very different, like you and me. Sometimes they need different conditions. But what they do need is temperature, and they need water, and they need the right location, okay? So that's what they need to grow. Right, onwards. So there's your experiment, write it out. Mrs. Lang will send this to you via email so that you can have a look. And there's also an assessment that I will be sending you as well. So make sure you have a look at that. So I'm also going to send you, but this is more for fun, and it may be that you want to try one of these experiments rather than planting a plant, because this lesson in particular is about simple tests and experiments. So our simple test was to grow the seeds without soil. I'm going to send you some experiments that you might choose to look at, but remember to write about them in your books and send them to me at year 2. Thank you very much. Right, so it is that time in the lesson for Mrs. Lang shout outs. So let's see who's been sending in some really good work. Right, let's see if I can play the music. Oops, let's go back there. Oh, there's no music today. That's a shame. Okay, you just have to hear Mrs. Chan. So Vanessa, amazing instructions to write a strawberry plant. Very lovely. I love your picture of the strawberry. You've always been a brilliant artist. Well done, Vanessa. Okay, Amy, brilliant work you've been sending in the course of being a scientist. I'm amazed. And you've sent me brilliant instructions of growing your own tomato plant. So we have Joseph again. I know that he's a little bit of a gardener himself. And if you want, I can send them to you, all these instructions, guys, because these are instructions of how to grow your own sunflower seed. And remember, if we share our instructions, then we know a little bit more how to do things. And Ange, my goodness, Ange, I loved your handwriting here, and you did a beautiful instruction script there. And then we have Eric, amazing Eric. What wonderful seeds that you grew as well. And I can see that you already knew that it needed sunshine, and I can see that you knew that it needed water as well. So well done, Eric. Okay, Deanna has been growing some seeds herself as well, and she's got an experiment going on there. Amazing work. Right, and then we have Sophia, who has been growing some spring onions. So that's pretty brilliant too. So that was our shout outs. This is Mrs. Lang. Let me not bobblehead me. So, right, year 2. Enjoy your half term. And we will be back after half term with some videos, maybe in a slightly different format. Mrs. Lang will be back at school. So keep safe. Remember, if you go out, 2 meters apart. Until the next time, I shall see you soon.